Something is shifting inside you, Sagittarius. You may not have the words for it yet. You may not even be fully aware of how deep the change goes. But if you have been feeling restless in a way that has nothing to do with boredom, if you have been lying awake at night with a sense that your life is about to rearrange itself in ways you cannot control, then what you are experiencing is not anxiety. It is alignment. It is the quiet tremor that runs through your spirit when something old is dying and something new is pressing against the walls, asking to be born. There are 12 inner movements happening within you right now, and each one has the power to redefine your path if you let it. Not through force, not through dramatic leaps, but through a willingness to notice what is already changing and to move with it rather than against it. Movement 1. The first inner movement is a loosening of attachment to the way things were supposed to go. You had a plan once. Maybe you still carry pieces of it, folded up somewhere in the back of your mind, taken out occasionally and measured against where you actually are. And the distance between the plan and the reality used to feel like failure. But something is shifting in that space now. That distance is starting to feel less like a gap and more like grace. Because the plan you made 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was made by someone who did not yet know what you know now. Someone who had not been shaped by the experiences that carved you into who you are today. Letting go of that plan is not giving up. It is making room for something better. Something that fits the person you have become rather than the person you thought you would be. This loosening does not happen all at once. It happens in layers. A morning where you wake up and the old regret feels a little lighter. An afternoon where you catch yourself smiling at something that has nothing to do with the life you once imagined. A night where you fall asleep not with the weight of what did not happen, but with the warmth of what did. These moments are the first movement. They are quiet, but they are powerful. Movement 2. The second movement is a deepening of your relationship with patience. Sagittarius is not naturally patient. Your sign wants answers now, results now, transformation now. And that urgency has served you in many ways. It has kept you moving, kept you searching, kept you alive with purpose. But this inner shift is teaching you something your fire has always resisted. That some things cannot be rushed. That the most meaningful changes in your life will not happen on your timeline but on their own. And your job is not to push harder, but to stay present, while the seeds you have already planted begin to break through the surface. Patience for your sign is not about doing nothing. It is about trusting the process enough to let it unfold without constantly checking for results. It is about planting and watering and showing up every day, even when you cannot see anything growing yet. Because the roots are always moving before the leaves appear. And for Sagittarius, learning to trust the invisible work, the underground labor of transformation, is one of the most important skills you will ever develop. This does not come naturally. It may never feel entirely comfortable, but it will change the quality of everything you build from this point forward. Movement 3. The third inner movement has to do with the way you process grief. Not just the grief of loss, though that may be part of it, but the grief of transition. The mourning of who you used to be, the life you used to live, the identity you used to wear so comfortably that you forgot it was even a choice. Sagittarius tends to leap forward, to focus on what is next, to turn every ending into a beginning before the ending has had time to be fully felt. But this movement is asking you to stay in the ending for a little longer. Not to wallow, not to drown, but to honor what was before you chase what will be. There is a version of you that carried you through decades of living, and that version deserves more than a quick goodbye on the way to the next chapter. It deserves acknowledgement. It deserves gratitude. It deserves the kind of farewell that says, you did your best with what you had, and I am grateful for every mile. When you give yourself permission to grieve the transitions, something unexpected happens. The next version of you arrives not as a stranger but as a continuation. Not as a replacement but as an evolution. And the journey forward feels less like running away, and more like walking deeper into yourself. Movement 4. The fourth movement is about boundaries, but not the kind you build against other people. These are the boundaries you build inside yourself, between who you truly are and who the world has asked you to be. For a long time, those two things may have been so tangled together that you could not tell where one ended and the other began. You adopted roles, expectations, definitions that were handed to you before you were old enough to question them, and you carried them faithfully because that is what Sagittarius does. You carry, you endure, you keep moving even when the load is not yours. But this inner movement is about setting down what was never yours to carry. It is about drawing a line inside your own heart and saying, this is me and this is not me. And on this side of the line I am free. That kind of inner boundary is not a wall. It is a doorway. It lets the right things in and keeps the wrong things out. And for Sagittarius, who has always been open to everything and everyone, learning to be selectively open is a revolution. It means your generosity becomes intentional rather than automatic. It means your yes carries real weight because your no has become equally strong. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Movement 5. The fifth movement is a quiet revolution in the way you define strength. For most of your life, strength meant endurance. It meant keeping going when everything inside you wanted to stop. It meant smiling when you were breaking, showing up when you were empty, carrying others when you could barely carry yourself. And you did it. You did it for years, decades maybe. But this inner shift is rewriting that definition. Strength is no longer about how much you can endure. It is about how honestly you can live. It is about the courage to say, I am tired and I need rest without feeling like that admission makes you less. It is about the bravery of vulnerability, of showing your wounds not as weakness but as proof that you have lived, that you have loved, that you have risked everything for the things that mattered to you. This new definition of strength does not replace the old one, completes it, because endurance without honesty is just survival. And you were not built to merely survive, Sagittarius. You were built to thrive. And thriving requires the kind of strength that is willing to be soft when softness is what the moment needs. Movement 6. The sixth movement is about the way you relate to your own intuition. Sagittarius has always had strong instincts, a gut feeling that fires before the mind has time to catch up. But somewhere along the way, you may have learned to distrust that instinct. Maybe you were told you were too impulsive, too idealistic, too quick to follow a feeling without proof. And so you started second-guessing yourself. You started running your intuition through filters of logic, of other people's opinions, of past failures that taught you to doubt your own inner compass. But this movement is about reclaiming that compass, about learning to trust it again, not blindly but deeply. There is a difference between recklessness and intuition. Recklessness ignores the consequences. Intuition sees them clearly and moves anyway because it knows something the rational mind does not. Your gut has been right more often than you give it credit for. And the times it seemed wrong, were those really failures of intuition, or were they lessons that your intuition knew you needed? This reclamation does not mean you throw away logic or planning. It means you stop using them as excuses to override what your spirit already knows. It means when your gut says move, you move. When it says wait, you wait. When it says this is not for you, you listen without needing a spreadsheet to justify the decision. Movement 7. The seventh inner movement touches your relationship with purpose. Not the grand capital P purpose that self-help culture obsesses over. Not the idea that you were born with one specific mission that you have to decode before time runs out. But the quiet daily purpose that comes from living in alignment with your values, from doing small things with great intention, from showing up to your own life as if it matters. Because it does. Sagittarius has always chased the big purpose, the great adventure, the meaning behind the meaning. And that search has taken you to incredible places, both literally and spiritually. But this movement is about discovering that purpose is not something you find at the end of a long road. It is something you practice in every moment. In the way you speak to the person beside you. In the way you handle a difficult morning. In the way you choose kindness when cynicism would be easier. Purpose, in this new form, is not a destination. It is a frequency. And when you tune into it, when you let it guide your smallest decisions as well as your biggest ones, you begin to emit a signal that draws everything you need toward you. Not because you earned it, but because you are vibrating at the right pitch for the life that was always meant to be yours. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Movement 8. The eighth movement is about your relationship with creativity. Not creativity in the artistic sense, though that may be part of it, but creativity as a life force. as the energy that moves through you when you are building something, solving something, imagining something that did not exist before you thought of it. Sagittarius carries enormous creative power, but that power often gets scattered across too many interests, too many projects, too many half-finished ideas that glittered in the beginning, but lost their shine before they were complete. This movement is about focusing that power, about choosing one flame instead of 100 sparks, about committing to the creative act of building a life, a practice, a body of work that reflects who you are at your deepest level. This does not mean you narrow yourself down to one thing forever. It means you give yourself permission to go deep instead of wide for a season, to let one seed grow all the way to fruit instead of planting an entire garden that never gets watered. And when you do, when you focus that Sagittarius fire into a single sustained beam, the results are extraordinary. Not because you are special, though you are, but because focus plus fire plus time equals something that scattered brilliance can never achieve. Movement 9. The ninth movement is about releasing the fear of being ordinary. Sagittarius carries a secret terror that most people never see. Beneath the confidence, beneath the adventure, beneath the bold proclamations and the fearless exterior, there is a voice that whispers, "What if I am not as special as I think I am? What if all this searching, all this striving, all this reaching for meaning was just a way to avoid the fact that I am just like everyone else?" And here is the truth that this movement brings you to. You are just like everyone else. And that is not a diminishment. That is a liberation. Because the pressure to be extraordinary is exhausting. The need to be different, to stand out, to matter in some grand cosmic way. It is a weight that no one should carry indefinitely. And when you set it down, when you allow yourself to be beautifully, magnificently ordinary, something paradoxical happens. You become extraordinary in the only way that actually counts. Through presence. Through compassion. Through the simple, radical act of being fully human in a world that constantly asks you to be more. Movement 10. The 10th movement is about the way you inhabit silence. Sagittarius is a sign of words, of ideas, of philosophical fire that burns through conversations and debates and late-night discussions about the meaning of existence. But this inner shift is drawing you toward the spaces between the words, the pauses, the quiet, the vast, open territory of silence where nothing needs to be said and everything is understood. You are learning that silence is not empty. It is full. Full of the things that language cannot capture. Full of the truths that only reveal themselves when the talking stops. And for a sign that has built so much of its identity around communication, learning to value silence is a radical act of self-trust. It says, I do not need to fill every space. I do not need to explain every feeling. I can sit here in the quiet and trust that what needs to be known will make itself known in its own time. Movement 11. The 11th movement touches the deepest place in your spirit. It is about faith. Not religious faith necessarily, but the fundamental trust that life is moving in a direction that has meaning, that your struggles were not random, that your joys were not accidental, that every twist and turn of your path, every dead end and detour, was part of a design too large for any single moment to reveal. This kind of faith does not require proof. It requires surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of trust. The willingness to let go of the need to understand everything before you can accept it. For Sagittarius, who lives to understand, this is perhaps the most challenging movement of all. But it is also the most rewarding. Because when you stop demanding that life explain itself and start trusting that the explanation will come in its own time, you free up an enormous amount of energy. Energy that was being spent on worry, on analysis, on trying to make sense of things that were never meant to be understood in the moment they happened. Movement 12. The 12th and final movement is the simplest and the most profound. It is the decision to begin. Not to plan to begin. Not to think about beginning. Not to wait until conditions are perfect or until you feel ready or until the stars align in a way that removes all doubt. But to begin now, today, in this moment, with whatever you have and wherever you are. Sagittarius has spent enough time in preparation, enough time in contemplation, enough time in the space between knowing and doing. This 12th movement is the bridge between those two worlds, and crossing it does not require bravery. It requires only the willingness to take one step. Not a perfect step, not a confident step, just one honest step in the direction of the life you know, deep in your bones, is waiting for you on the other side of hesitation. These 12 movements are not a sequence. They are happening simultaneously, overlapping and interweaving in ways that are unique to you and your journey. Some will feel familiar. Some will feel uncomfortable. Some will feel like they have been building for years. And some will feel as sudden as a thunderclap on a clear day. But all of them are real. And all of them are leading you somewhere that matters. Not somewhere out there in the distant future, but somewhere in here, inside the vast and uncharted territory of your own becoming. Trust what you are feeling, Sagittarius. Trust the restlessness, the longing, the ache that tells you there is more. Because there is more. And it is not waiting for you to find it. It is waiting for you to become it. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift. Or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.